The next lesson in philosophy of religion is to do with the definition of terms. In fact, a good examiner may even want to ask you, can you define the following terms, at least any three? It can be define atheism, and not just define, should demonstrate you are thinking about what atheism is today. You don't just define like you are memorizing and we are teaching you in the university. To think, not just memorize. Then can you define agnosticism? Can you define henotheism? Can you define holiness? Can you define theism? Can you define deism? Can you define pantheism? Can you define monotheism? Of course, there are these other things that we all know around, like monotheism, polytheism, and all that. The issue is not to memorize here, my friends. It is a question of applying that knowledge. Because when you go to the field, you don't go with the knowledge you have memorized. You go with the thinking that you have developed across the study, the improved level of thinking. That is what will help you in your daily working places. So first, atheism. We seem to know it, but let me also redefine it. Everything has to be taken very seriously. Atheism is a denial of any mode of God. There is no God, says the atheist. For the psalmist, only a fool can deny in his heart the existence of God, as you read in Psalm 14:1. Atheism is not new. It was found in the Greco-Roman philosophy. For instance, in the Tales of the Hills, Anaximenes and Democritus, atheism has been discussed in great length. However, atheism became more prevalent in the 18th and the 19th centuries, gaining momentum in our time. One such interesting atheist was Nietzsche, who wrote on a blackboard while teaching in Germany, "God is dead." Yeah, that's what he wrote in capital letters as he was teaching his students in Germany. Then the students changed and replaced the ones and wrote, "Nietzsche is dead." So their professor was dead, according to them. And the professor was saying God is dead. But they told him, it is you who is dead. Then death is death, whether it's spiritual or psychological or physical. Death is death anyway. Hopelessness is death. And maybe Nietzsche had become so hopeless that he could dare saying God is now has died. When you become hopeless, God does not die. When your things don't work out, that does not mean life has stopped. When you are broke, don't say the country is broke. Yes, you could be broke or I could be broke, but the country belongs to God. Okay, to end this section, then the students changed and replaced those ones that Nietzsche is dead. In reviewing the above statement, who could have killed the other? Is it Nietzsche who killed God or God killed Nietzsche, who was dead actually? That is for you. Your guess is as good as mine. The second definition, that is very critical to philosophy of religion, is agnosticism. Agnosticism, we tend to be silent and then we say gnosticism. But let me call it agnosticism. Agnosticism is a state of literally not knowism. Those people who have no stand. He's not saying God is there or God is not there. He is agnostic. He has not decided. Hana msimamo. That's Swahili. He has no stand or she has no stand. This is in the context of the belief that we do not have sufficient reason either to affirm or deny God's existence. An agnostic does not understand God and does not know or believe in the reality of God. He also does not know whether there is God and God's character. She is not convinced that humans have sufficient good ground in dismissing the reality of the existence of God. Now, concerning henotheism, henotheism is derived from the Greek word heis, which is equal to henos. Henos plus Theos, which means God. The religions which hold the belief of henotheism believe that there are many gods, but there is one who is regarded as the major god of the tribe. Unlike polytheism, one god of the tribe is emphasized. For instance, in Egypt and among some African ethnic groups. Now, concerning holiness, this is a belief in a holy God who commands the adherents also to be holy. So, holiness means being set apart for holy purposes. For example, in Israel, God is saying to be holy, and the Israelites must be holy. Be holy as I'm holy. The scripture says. Now, God of Israel is holy, the creator of heaven and the earth. And lastly, humanity who have to serve God with dedication and holiness. We also refer to buildings set apart as holy. For instance, the mosque and the church, we call it holy. Concerning atheism, theism now, we dealt with the atheism, believe that there is no God. Now we look at the belief that there is God. The term theism is derived from the Greek word theos, meaning God. It is both a philosophical and theological concept. It is belief in a transcendent, supreme being who is the origin of everything and who is perfect as the infinite, eternal creator of the world. Now, this God is to be worshipped and served by humanity. Now, concerning deism, this is belief in one God. It was developed in the 18th century, and it is derived from Greek word deus, meaning God. It was a belief in one God who created the world and left it to function on its own. Yeah, you have heard people saying African religion has a deistic God. That's not true. It is a normal God, not a deistic God who creates and leaves the people wahangaike peke yao, on their own. Accordingly, the universe functions on natural laws, that is, on a mechanical mode of existence. It is comparable to a watch, or a watchmaker makes a watch and leaves it to function on its own. Deism further holds that God must have existed and created the universe with all of its laws to function on its own. But they also hold that there is no justification for our belief that God has any special concern for humanity. Concerning pantheism, pan of course means all. You have heard of Pan-Africa or Africa, Pan-African Congress, or which means or Africa Congress. Pan means all. So pantheism is a belief that God is identical to the universe as it was held by philosopher Spinoza many years ago, and who was a pantheist. For example, Hinduism teaches a form of pantheism which includes a conception of the divine in all things, rather than a separate creator. For instance, if you cut a tree, you cut God. You can see how pantheistic it can look, it can be, how confused it can turn out to be. Because when you cut a tree, you cut God. When you do harm, you harm God. When you do good, so everything is God. African religion has been dismissed by some of our expatriate European missionaries as pantheistic. Truth is, it has never been pantheistic. What may happen today could be a different thing altogether. Monotheism. This is a belief in one God. It is derived from Greek word monos, meaning one. This belief is found among Judaic Christians and Muslims. They all teach about one God, the creator of heaven and earth. The prophets too received the revelation of this God and went on reminding the people of God that he was the only one, the only God. For instance, Joshua told the Israelites who became polytheists that he and his wife were going to serve the only God as a monotheistic God. The last one on this, polytheism. It's a belief in many gods. It is derived from the Greek words poly, meaning many, and theos equals God. Many gods were referred to amongst the ancient Greeks and Roman religions. It is needless to say polytheism was practiced in Africa. Besides, in Middle East, the Israelites were polytheists until Abraham recovered received the revelation of God as the first person to worship the monotheistic God. Abraham is referred to as the father of the ancestor of Judaism, Christianity and Islam, which hold a monotheistic beliefs. Hii inakuwekea uelewe kwamba if you use academia, you can go far. If you try to dodge this study, you get it wrong. So we have looked at all these major concepts. There could be others, but these are the ones we use so far. Thank you very much. Thank you.